Welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, the podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I'm Cliffy D. You can find me on Twitter at Cliffy D.
And I'm Tim Capper, and you can find me on Twitter at Repact. That's REPPACT. And this podcast is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where if you use the promo code FlightDeck-10 at checkout, you will receive 10% off your entire order. Head over to www.sportbuffshop.com. Well, second show where you have been calling me from the road. Where exactly are you and the significant other this week as we tape the podcast, Cliff?
Currently in the Gaspé region of Quebec. Being able to take in the sights, the sounds, the scenery is truly incredible. Not as exciting maybe as going to Scotland and doing a podcast there, but
early in the morning.
Late at night, actually.
What episode was that? I'm trying to remember what episode, because everybody has to go back into the archives over at alouettesflightdeck.ca and check out that episode.
It was back in 2019. We had interviewed William Stanback.
There we go. Yes, sir.
And yeah, it was well, I mean, it ended up being late for me. It was 11:30 at night Scotland time.
Okay. Oh, okay. But, really? I can swear it was older. It was later than that.
It probably felt later when we finished later, but
yeah. But I mean, for those who just to give a few highlights before we talk about the Alouettes home opener and all the stuff that has come across the wire, etc. For those who haven't been in that part of Quebec, whether you are from Montreal, whether you are from New Brunswick, or whether you're from other parts of Canada and have not been to that part of the country, give us some quick highlights besides the many flights of beer you have had. But you know what?
I will say the craft beer scene here is pretty outstanding.
Oh, yeah?
They just make absolutely fantastic beer. And listen, that's what Quebec is, really. It's just being able to try different things and see different things. And you know what really struck me more than anything else is, despite the fact that it is a predominantly French area, I mean, the tourism here is so huge that you can actually, if you come here and you don't speak French, you'd be okay. There's a lot of people that would be willing to work with you and at least try to speak in English with you. So you can at least, if nothing else, order something to eat or get a hotel room or something to at least come and stay and enjoy the area. So, I mean, I would definitely recommend this as a travel destination to get away to. As I said, the natural beauty that is surrounding this area is breathtaking. Like I've seen sites that have just been like jaw dropping, along the coastline. And there's so many boardwalks here, Tim. It reminded me of when you and I went to Atlantic City. It was just absolutely outstanding. Like just the waves crashing onto the shoreline and everything is just, whew. I mean, it's incredible. There's just no other way to describe it. It is breathtaking. I highly recommend that everybody, if you get a chance to come out to the Gaspé region, by all means do so. You will not regret it.
Yeah, and if again, like Cliff said, where his Twitter at the beginning for socials, he has some great stuff that's on there. If you happen to follow him on Facebook, also make sure you do so, because he has posted some amazing pictures of his stays. Do you wish you had been able to go to the Île Madeleine? But I know you're a little bit farther away because that's on the other side of PEI. If I remember correctly, did you ever think of going there too? But I know it would be a little bit harder to get there. You can't drive over the water.
That's the big thing, is not being able to drive over the water. But I mean, it's not something I'm opposed to. Like, I mean, the more I think about it too, like the more I want to explore even the Maritimes as well, as as far as the vacation goes. Because yes, we've been to New Brunswick and even been to we're in New Brunswick very briefly this week, and to me, it feels like there's so much more to be explored there. Like I think I've spent maybe a grand total of 5 days in New Brunswick as an adult. I would like to see more of the province itself and see what all it has to offer. So that is definitely what I'd like to do. And then, of course, go into the Maritimes, and not just for Touchdown Atlantic. Believe me, that'd be cool to go to Touchdown Atlantic and see the Alouettes playing in Halifax or any of these other. Like we've seen them play in Moncton, and that's great. But I mean, as the league supposedly wants to further expand this Touchdown Atlantic experiment and make it really a viable option for football fans to go check out their team on the East Coast, I would also like to explore more of the area as well. I think that there's just so much natural beauty and so many incredible things that have to be seen and experienced, and I want to do that. So I'm hoping, if time and that permits, one day I'd like to be able to say that not just going to the Touchdown Atlantic to see the Alouettes, but also go and explore the rest of Atlantic Canada. I think it'd be such an amazing experience.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of doing Atlantic Canada. I have a friend who lives out in Halifax, but we 10 years ago, the wife and I did, actually 2 years in a row, we did PEI. Didn't get to see all of it, but it's just the site, as you're saying, every place seems to have its beautiful sites within Canada. The red sand beaches in PEI are just absolutely stunning. They really, really are. Going to Cape Breton, the many different places that we went into Cape Breton. We went to go see, be able to go into an actual mine. We went to a mine museum over in Glace Bay.
Nice.
So it's just beautiful. I would love to do it again, because when we did the Cabot Trail, it was raining that day, and I'm hearing just like what you guys are seeing so far. Having the best weather is really. It's still fun to do these places, but when you have such gorgeous weather to drive in, it makes it even more memorable.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I would have to say for sure is on the bucket list would be to go to Newfoundland and get officially screeched in.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the screeching in, but I'll go to Newfoundland.
Well, hey, I think that would be a great way to do a podcast. What do you think?
I know what that entails because I've seen it. Maybe. Get a couple of ciders in me, and maybe we'll do that.
There you go. So listen, maybe this is the thing we got to get to GoFundMe for, folks. Is do you want to see the Alouettes Flightdeck in Newfoundland? Let us know.
That would be interesting. That really would. Perfect. Perfect segue with it being Saint Jean, and obviously coming up for Canada Day. Obviously, everybody here at the Flight Deck want to wish everybody a belated Happy Saint Jean, and obviously a Happy Canada Day coming up. So anybody who's going to be watching football on Canada Day, you're lucky. I think I'm trying to remember the last time we had a game on Canada Day in Montreal, but still there will be CFL football to be watched. And for us too, it started the long weekend here in Quebec, 2 games on the road, but we were very lucky to have our home opener. And it was a glorious time to be an Alouettes fan, wasn't it, Cliff?
Oh my. I mean, I'll be completely honest. I mean, like, with all the, kind of malaise that was kind of surrounding the team with quarterbacking woes and just the, everything that was kind of hanging overhead. Like, I kind of went into this match last Thursday kind of tempering my expectations a bit. I was like, yes, obviously I want the Alouettes to win, but I mean, Saskatchewan, they're 2-0. They played some pretty decent football. Even though I said they were the worst 2-0 team in the Canadian Football League, and the Alouettes were the best 0-2 football team. Like, I just looked at the matchup and I was like, man, if Montreal pulls this out, it's going to be nothing short of a miracle. Like, I went in really expecting very little and wanting to be pleasantly surprised. And oh my gosh, was I surprised.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, literally from kickoff, this game was a complete shock to the system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, even as the coin toss happened, I'm like, okay, the Alouettes or the Riders won and deferred to the second half, so Montreal started on offense. Oh no, sorry, they won they won the coin toss and decided they wanted the ball first. I'm like, oh god, this. No,
Which seems to be a change. Yeah, usually on the road. Yeah, but yeah, at home, why not? And hey, great. It was a great choice, needless to say, wasn't it? I mean, I don't think
it really was.
Yeah. What's with the woes that we've had in the past couple of years with the return game and how we had hoped it was going to go, and how we were just so disappointed after what happened in week 1. Obviously, we were, with Myra Alfred out, Chandler Worthy, man, from the get-go was, you had to be in your seats right away, because I know a couple of people that I know were not in their seats for kickoff. And dude, boy, did they miss a lot just in that first 60 seconds with Chandler Worthy, just going ham and returning the opening kickoff 88 yards for a touchdown.
I mean, to start the game with a house call, I mean, that just set the tone right there. And I think caught everybody napping. Like Saskatchewan, the TSN broadcast crew, even the fans were just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, football, here we go. Wait, what? And then just all of a sudden you watch Worley just find a hole, hit the hole, and he was gone.
Yeah.
And Darius Pickett with a great block towards the end to really just give that separation. He was gone. Like Chandler really was gone, and just right off the hop, his first touchdown as a Montreal Alouette. That was just a thing of absolute beauty.
Yeah. And Worthy was worthy for the entire game, even though, and we'll talk about it with, even though one was a punt return was brought back by a questionable penalty, but thanks to our stats guru Steve Daniel. I don't know if you saw this, Cliff, but Worthy's touchdown was the second fastest TD to open up a game in CFL history at 12 seconds.
Incredible. And it's so funny. Like this was a late pickup at training camp. Like the Argos cut him, couldn't find a spot for him on their roster. Montreal picked him up right away, and wow. I mean, it may have taken an injury to Mario Alford for him to get his spot, but my goodness, like he was ready, and you can see even in training camp, he had wheels. Like, okay, like this guy just needs an opportunity to break one out, and things are going to happen. And sure enough, look what he's done.
I know.
Absolutely incredible.
And that's where the question comes, and I we'll talk about it more when we preview the game, but that's where the question comes in this weekend, because Alfred was practicing. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a nice problem to have, but we know with the roster situation, with the right ratio, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So right off the hop, dude, I mean, the Alouettes are up, and they just kept it going. I mean, the Owls were up 20 points at halftime. And you know what's funny, dude? The last time that the Alouettes were up by 20 points at half was versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Go figure.
I mean, yeah. I was just blown away by just being able to see. It's like, what? The Owls, just in recent years, they're never up by 20 points. Ever up by 20 points.
Certainly not this season either. I mean, like, they looked very dominant to start against Calgary and let them back into the game. Against Toronto, it was like a battle in that first half to see who could play the worst game of football. Mm-hmm. And both teams effectively were tied for first, or tied for worst, if you will.
Yeah.
But again, just with everything that was happening, Alouettes just kept coming. Like, the defense just absolutely owned. I mean, Cody Fajardo, I was convinced, like, when he went back to the hotel that night, he was going to check his closet and make sure Brian Harlemana was not waiting for him with another sack.
And try to find out where's Jesus sprinkles gave out. The Owls,
I guess Fajardo must be like a Spanish word for run for your frickin' life. Because that's exactly what he had to do.
That's good. So the Owls were up by 20 points at halftime for the 41st time in team history, 37th time in the regular season, and the last time, as I mentioned, led by 20 plus points at half, July 29th, Cliff, 2016 versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a 41-3 win.
Wow.
This one was pretty close to that score too.
I mean, aside from that garbage time touchdown that they give up towards the end, I mean, all Saskatchewan was able to do was get 2 Brett Loeffler field goals.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just stymied. Like, Montreal just simply the Saskatchewan had no answer for Montreal. And again, a lot of that, like a lot of the points that were scored, it was basically all special teams, mm-hmm. with the exception of Chandler's house call and one Trevor Harris pass to Kyon Julian Grant, which was an absolute beauty.
A dime. He didn't stop. KJG did not stop one bit.
No. I mean, like, timing was everything, and we've been a little tough on Trevor and his passing and his inability seemingly to find that deep ball. But when he finds it, there it is. I mean, listen, if you're only going to complete one deep pass, that's the one to do, because that has 7 points written all over it.
Yeah, Trevor, if I remember correctly, only had two incompletions at halftime, and overall, I mean, the game, it wasn't perfect. It's hard to say. It's that you're like, Tim, how can this game? There were still some things that were, as a fan, you can't just go in with blinders on. But overall, this team did a very, very good job, and this is something they have to keep up versus Saskatchewan this week because they're going to, it's the return game. They're back to back in Saskatchewan this week. So
yeah, and I believe me, you're not going to catch Saskatchewan. If we had caught them napping last Thursday in Montreal, it's not going to happen again. They're going to be extremely prepared this time because I think they were just flat out embarrassed.
Oh, and for sure.
They even said they had no answer. And they were very fortunate because, let's face it, 15 of those 37 points came off the foot of David Cote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're very fortunate. Like, again, and this is the thing with Trevor Harris, is he gets you to the red zone, but there was a lot of points that were left on the field as well. Like, a lot of those field goals really should have been touchdowns. But, I mean, at the end of the day, they scored when they had to. Whether it was field goals or touchdowns, they scored when they had to. And as I said, the way this defense came alive and just made Cody Fajardo's night a living nightmare was absolutely fantastic.
And obviously,
this was the defense. This is the defense that we had come to expect. This is what we wanted to see, and they showed up and they showed out. And you couldn't ask for anything better, especially too with the fans making noise, and it was loud. I mean, for 16,000 fans,
yeah.
It was loud. I mean, yes, you got the horns, you got the no more car sirens. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. But, thank you, Alouettes brass, for listening to us.
There you go. So, and you're welcome, fans, because we pretty much told them like, no, the car siren doesn't work, and no more car siren. Simple as that.
And we'll talk about the atmosphere in a couple of minutes. We could have had 7 more points if it weren't for a quote unquote illegal block on a return by Gagné with just over a minute left in the third, that we should have had 7 more points. And I've had a few people question it. And usually, when it comes to people who are work for the Alouettes, and I'm mentioning Joey Alfieri specifically, he made the comment, I think, in one of the interviews the post-game interviews show that he had live on that they've been doing live after the games, even he said he thinks it was a questionable call. I think that's the reporter in him, but still, I watched it again. I really don't know if that was an illegal block. I really don't know. But to be fair, though, this is what we'll get back to it, Cliff. To be fair, it did set up that huge catch and run by our Canadian first round pick in Tyson Philpott.
Oh my goodness!
And he would have been gone too if it weren't for a horse collar.
Yeah. But so great to see him get in big moments, especially in the home opener too. When you think about it, like it was cool for him to go out to Calgary and perform in front of his hometown crowd, so to speak. I mean, he's from Delta, BC, but like he's a former Calgary Dino, so you expected him to show up in a big way versus Calgary. But let's face it, this is your home opener. Like, this is your chance to let everybody in the stands know who the hell Tyson Philpott is. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
That was just a money run.
Exactly. Now, going back to I know you were about to say something about that illegal block. As I said, we only ended up coming up even with those 2 nice plays, we still only ended up coming away with 3 points. But what was your thought on that, to me, as that quote unquote illegal block on the return?
It was definitely ticky-tack. There's no question about it. I mean, I get it. I understand. Especially, too, when it comes to special teams, everything's going to be looked at. Especially, too, when you saw that Worthy was heading back to the end zone. Obviously, scoring plays are going to be reviewed. But just the fact that, I don't know. I looked at it and like, really? That's what you're going to call of all things?
I wanted 40. I wanted 40 on the board.
I just wanted another opportunity to use the "we're not worthy" GIF from Wayne's World.
There you go,
to describe a Chandler Worthy touchdown for the Alouettes.
There you go.
1 was good, but 2 would have been better. But.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I said a lot of pluses and minuses. I think one of the big minuses, obviously, was the ball over Trevor Harris's head for a loss of 23.
Yeah.
But I still haven't gone back to see who was really at fault on that one. If Trevor was looking in another direction, or if it was a missed snap. It was a guess of the snap count was misunderstood, because that at the point where we had already lost our center.
Sean Jameson?
Yeah,
I
Sean.
don't believe so. That was more. That was late in the fourth quarter. So
Okay.
it's,
Oh, that's right. That's right. Which we had
I think it was just it was probably just a little bit of miscommunication as far as that goes, which it happens. I mean, listen, you can blame whoever you want on that one, but I mean, sometimes things just happen. There was just a malfunction at the junction.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Overall for the Alouettes, Trevor Harris was 16 to 22 for 262 yards, no picks, and a touchdown. The Joshua Antwi, 10 carries, 45 yards. It's okay. It's okay. Walter Fletcher had 2 for 15. Leading receiver for the Alouettes was Kalen Julian Grant with 75 yards on 2 receptions.
70 of those 75 was on that touchdown streak.
Yes. Phil Pott was second with his 1 catch. That's a hell of an average, by the way. I'll take a 66-yard average.
That ain't not bad, as we say.
And Gino going into the game, Gino Lewis, he had 68 yards on 4 catches on 5 targets. He was going in there banged up, and I was watching him during the game. I don't know if you noticed anything in particular. He wasn't limping, but I could tell he wasn't 100%.
Even then, he was still making 1 or 2 really outstanding catches, like just to keep the chains moving. I mean, if this guy's in pain, you're not going to know about it so easily. I mean, that's
like in Hamilton in the playoffs. I agree.
Yeah, like Gino is truly on another level. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, the way this guy plays football, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Vernon Adams or Trevor Harris. I mean, just you throw the ball to him, and more often than not, it's going to end up in his hands, and he's going to make stuff happen. Like he is a magician, without question.
Yeah, and obviously the bounce back, David Cote, a perfect 5 for 5. I don't think anybody really had anything to worry about when it came to Cote, but
of course not.
Perfect for the game.
And that's the thing. Like I hope with every one of those successful field goals, I just hope that he just like kind of threw up the deuces and just said, later y'all, because I mean that's how you respond to your haters. That's like they say living well is the best revenge. Well, I say playing well is the best revenge, because all these people are talking crap about him. Like, are we going to get rid of him? Do we need another kicker? Blah, blah, blah. Why? Because he muffed 1 punt or 1 kick that could have won the game? Sure. I understand the frustration of that. But you know what? That doesn't take away from what kind of a kicker he is. And he proved that. All those kicks that he made this past Thursday, right down the middle. No problem. Nothing but net. I mean, and this is what we come to expect from David Cote. So maybe that's why it was such a shock when he bricked that potential game-winning field goal against Toronto. But to want to throw him out, to want to get another kicker, or say all this horrible nonsense about him, like so dumb. Like don't be better than that, people. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect, and you know what? I'm personally very happy for Cote that he was able to shake off what had happened in Toronto, come out in front of his hometown fans, and he again 15 of Montreal's 37 points.
Yep,
are thanks to David Cote.
Yep.
So I mean, what more can you want from the guy?
Yeah.
He shows up, he does his job. That's all there is to it.
By the way, that 23-yard fumble and return, or loss rather, fumble, return, and loss, whatever, it was charged to Jameson. So he was charged with the fumble.
Kind of funny, but okay.
I know. It's great, silly CFL rules, when a quarterback gets intercepted on a 2-point convert, that goes towards their stats. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And I guess technically Jameson was the last person to handle the ball, if that's the case.
Technically.
Okay.
Semantics.
It really is. One thing we got to talk about, though.
Yes.
Marc-Antoine Decoy.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Yes. I have to laugh because Fajardo had connected with Duke Williams on one of those sliding catches.
Yeah.
Earlier in the game. And, okay, fine, that works. It's what you come to expect from Duke Williams is outstanding catches. I mean, the guy's a great receiver, so of course he's going to make a catch like that. But I kind of felt like he was playing with fire, trying to make a catch like that. It didn't quite work. Kind of bounced up and right into the arms of Marc-Antoine Decoy, who took it to the house. I just once again caught everybody napping. It was absolutely incredible.
Oh, I know. It was just
how perfect for on the eve of Saint Jean Baptiste that a Montreal-born player like Marc-Antoine Decoy scores his first CFL touchdown in the Alouettes home opener for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just like the icing on the cake. Like, I mean, beautiful.
There were a ton of firsts for Canadians in that game, and I don't have them in front of me. I know David Arsenault from RDS was posting a few of them. I have to go back and check his Twitter feed. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a perfect game. You know, this is the concerning part. You were just talking about it before, Cliff. You know, the Alouettes were 0 for 3 in the red zone, and I guess I don't know if this is because of how well the Owls were doing in the long situations on second down and stuff like that, or how many yards they were gaining on their first downs. They were only 7 of 15 on second down conversions. 5 of 17 on second down conversions. So, but I said they only had 17 conversions versus 26 for Saskatchewan. I mean, total yardage.
So which? Go ahead.
I was going to say, total yardage was basically almost identical. 296 to 285 in favor of Montreal, which seems strange enough. But and they didn't have the time of possession, but that's because of these long, touchdown, these long catch, 2 long catches. So it kind of makes sense. I'm curious. I have to go back and check, but the being 0 for 3 in the red zone is concerning. That's games cannot necessarily be won. They can be won on the foot of a kicker, but you also need to score some touchdowns. Yes, we had 2 long touchdowns. I get that. That's why they weren't listed as being red zone touchdowns, but still. It doesn't bode well. I mean, that's one thing that they have to get better. I mean, I think they were better on penalties. They only had 4, so that's great. Great. I mean, what happened last week was garbage, but they're back to where they were after week 1. Mm-hmm.
No, and this team has to stay disciplined. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is playing smart football more than anything else is key. But again, if you go back to the point you were trying to make as far as like being 0 for 3 in the red zone, I mean, this is why, listen, a lot of people are like, well, now that Trevor Harris had a really amazing game, are you going to give him his due? Are you going to give him his props? I'm like, listen, I absolutely give him props for that incredible touchdown strike to Karen Julian Grant, 100%. But at the same time, by that same token, and I would say this whether it was Harris or Vernon Adams at the quarterback, if you're walking away, you're settling for field goals instead of touchdowns when you're that in the red zone that often, something is definitely not working. I mean, to me, that's an area that needs tremendous improvement. And for someone with a veteran like Harris, should be able to find the end zone. So why can't he? Like, what is it exactly? What is it that? And again, as the starting quarterback, as the leader, quote unquote, he's got to become now. He's got to bear some of that responsibility. Right. He's got to be able to answer for that. Like, why are we settling for 3 points when we could have just easily had a touchdown? And again, it's not for lack of weapons. Lord knows you've got some great receivers already, and that's even with certain guys out of the lineup.
I know.
You still got some guys you got guys with firepower, and you got 2 very good running backs that you could be leaning on. And I don't know why you're not like what's going on. Like, I don't know what the disconnect is.
They're 4 of 12 on the season. 4 of 12.
I mean, that's concerning. And again, I would say that regardless of who the starting quarterback is, I don't want this to turn into a.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah. By the way, people need to understand we're not talking about this as the Trevor Harris thing. It's a team thing.
It absolutely is, and this is something that everybody needs to be able to answer for. But again, starting with the starting quarterback, and I would say that, as I said, regardless of who the starting quarterback was, whether it was Trevor Harris, Vernon Adams, hell, even if Anthony Calvillo came out of retirement and decided he was going to lead the Alouettes. If he put together a kind of a lackluster offensive effort like that, I'd be asking questions too of him. It really just comes down to, you're the leader of the team. You got some great weapons around you. Why can't you find the end zone?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree.
So listen, again, just for the record, I want everybody to know, I thought that touchdown that Harris threw was absolutely amazing. No question about it.
No question.
Karen Julian Grant, he did his thing too. I mean, the 2 of them together, obviously they must have some pretty good chemistry to connect on a bomb like that. But kind of expect a little bit more of the starting quarterback. I mean, that's just really what it came down to. I mean, really, truly, this game was won by special teams. Whether it was David Cote kicking 5 field goals, whether it was Chandler Worthy with the house call and almost a second one to his name, Marc-Antoine Decoy with the pick 6, so to speak. Yeah, I guess it would be a pick 6. Like, that's for the Alouettes. The fact that Saskatchewan just did not look like the same team that was able to pull out a nice win against Hamilton or hang tough with the Elks. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I wish I could explain why Saskatchewan didn't show up for this game, and that's really what it came down to. Was they didn't look like they wanted to play this game, and it showed on the field. The fact that they could only score a touchdown in garbage time, I think, speaks volumes. And if I'm Rider Nation, I'm asking questions of not just Cody Fajardo, but everybody. Like, what the hell? I mean, this is supposedly an Alouettes team in disarray, and they don't know who their leader is, and they're 0-2. But I think really what it came down to was Montreal wanted this victory. They wanted, to show up for their hometown fans. They wanted to come out guns blazing and prove that they were not what their record says they were.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan, I just can't say 100% they had that same sentiment. I could be wrong, but I'm just based on what I saw out of them last Thursday. And I have to believe they're going to be a hell of a lot more prepared for this coming Saturday against the Alouettes. But, I mean, it was not a good look for the Roughriders on the eve of Saint Jean Baptiste.
Well, we're going to be kind of similar in the same situation that the Roughriders were this past week with, us missing our starting center. But, we'll talk about that more in the preview. But we want to talk about the home atmosphere and stuff like that. But before we do, I want to remind you that we are on social media. You can find us over on Twitter at Alouettes Flightdeck. Instagram, just search for Alouettes Flightdeck. Facebook, look for Alouettes Flightdeck Pod. YouTube, we're getting there. We're just shy of 10 people left in order to get to that magical 100 mark. Go to YouTube, search for Alouettes Flightdeck, subscribe if you haven't already, and get us to that magical 100 so we can give away that Delta jacket to any one of that 100 plus people when we do when we get to that magical mark. Also, Flight Deck merch, head over to teespring.com/stores/Owls Flight Deck. And because there is not a home game this week, obviously there will not be a draw for tickets for the game itself, but stay tuned for the week of our bye week, which is where we will be setting up the next draw for a pair of tickets to see the Alouettes play at home versus the Edmonton Elks in the SportBuff Flight Crew seats.
Mm-hmm. Folks, make sure you check that out. Make sure you subscribe. Like, we're not just giving away tickets for one game. We're giving away tickets for every single home game this season. So make sure you check out the Flight Deck. You let your family, your friends, everybody know about it. Whether it's you're listening on YouTube or any of the other social media or podcast aggregates, check out the Flight Deck. Let people know about the Flight Deck. Let them know about YouTube. Let them know everything. Mm-hmm. And make sure you enter the contest and win yourself those awesome Flight Crew seats, because there's really no bad seat in the house when it comes to Percival Molson Stadium. And seeing this team, if they're going to be as exciting as what they were that first game against the Riders, can you imagine how great it would be to be able to say that, yeah, I went and saw the Alouettes play. They had an amazing game against Edmonton, and I got to see it for free thanks to the Alouettes Flight Deck podcast. Yeah, how great would that be?
I know. I actually was in the stadium the other day, and I actually went up to our seats that we give away, and I was like, I've never been, I've never been in that part of the stadium, and it's overlooking the city. I was like, man, these are nice seats. So, hey, make sure you again watch our socials for when we launch the next round of the seat giveaway. So, for his first home game with really no restrictions, they have brought back quite a few things over at Percival Molson. They brought back. What do we call it? The fan zone, the party zone. What do they call it?
Yes, for lack of a better term, I don't think they had any real name for it. But
yes, but they brought it back. It wasn't. It's not a shadow of its former self. They brought it back. It's been revamped. That's the best word to use. It's been revamped.
And that's where they had the halftime show. They had Clay and Friends.
That's right. That's right.
You've never heard of them, folks? I mean, they're pretty popular bands in the Montreal area, and starting to gain some traction, starting to really get the word out there. So I mean, it was pretty cool to see everybody that was there. Like they flooded the fan zone, if you will, because that's where they had the stage set up for the musicians to perform, and that's pretty much where they had their sort of impromptu halftime concert. And it looked really good. I mean, it's not my kind of music. That's not really my cup of tea, but I really think that they did a really good job as far as presenting it goes and making it make it seem like a cool place to be at halftime rather than just go grab a beer or go to the washroom. You want people to be interested and engaged in the halftime show. That's the way to do it. And they pretty much encouraged everybody, like, get on down there and join the party. And it was great. It looked really cool, at least from our vantage point, from our seats.
Yeah, for sure. During halftime, I was actually able to check out the merch. They've got, the Alouettes had quite a bit of merch, new merch that was available. They have back the personalized jerseys. Those are back again upstairs at least on our side of the stadium, which is I think south side of the stadium. What else? The
Alouettes have their own beer now.
Yes, they do.
And we got to try it.
We did. It is. I'm. It's not the company. What's the company name again that's doing it?
Archibald.
Yeah, Archibald. They brought in a Alouettes branded beer. Nice. Can cans have liveries? Can I call it that? A nice design. The can had a nice design. One side was the Alouettes logo, and the other side, which most people didn't see because nobody really pushed it on social media. But it had on the other side, it had all of the dates that the Alouettes have won the Grey Cup, and it was superimposed over an outline of the province of Quebec.
Yep.
And
this is a limited edition, folks, for this for this brewery to come out with this beer, and it is exclusive at Percival Molson Stadium. We're really hoping that we can find a way to try and get people that aren't able to come to the games, if they want to try out this beer, or at least be able to get a collector's edition of this. We'll see what we can try and figure out. But I mean, the fact that we were able to try it on game day and just be able to have an Alouettes beer of our own, I thought was pretty cool. And I got to say, it was actually a very good beer.
You being the beer connoisseur that you are, buddy, yes, I'm sure it was.
Well, and I laughed when you said you wanted to try it.
I did. Of course I wanted to try. I'm not most people know that I am can I say I'm a connoisseur of cider? Yes, I'll say I'm a connoisseur of cider. So beer really isn't my thing. I mean, you guys have bought me some beers before, and you've seen some of the reactions that I've had for some beers that I've had. But at least I tried them. And
that's all we can ask, is that you try it.
Yeah.
And if you like it, great. If you don't, then you don't. Simple as that.
Exactly. But still, it was a huge plus. And it's just too bad, as I said, right now it will be available at the stadium until there is nothing left. So next home game versus Edmonton, it should be available. How much?
It should.
Don't know.
I guess it's like they say, while supplies last.
Exactly. See, now Cliff needs to get himself one and keep the can. Or try to get one that's unopened, if that's even possible.
Oof, I mean, that's easier said than done. But I mean,
I know,
strictly for collector's sake, and like I said, if the Archibald people are listening, by all means, if you can find a way to make this can available for people that, for whatever reason, aren't able to make it to an Alouettes home game, please do so, because people have to see this can. Like, yes, we tweeted photos out from the Flightdeck account, and even from my own account, I tweeted out photos of the can itself.
Yes.
It looks beautiful. I mean, it's really cool. It's just a great design. The beer inside is delicious, without question, but make it available to everybody. Unfortunately, not everybody can make it to a home game, or even, they may not even be beer drinkers like yourself, but maybe we just still want this for collector's sake. Make it available. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's a market for it. I mean, the beer was moving pretty well at the game this past Thursday. So
that I will admit.
Yeah. I sincerely hope there'll still be some more when the Alouettes are back playing the Elks in a couple of weeks. But folks, as I say, while supplies last, if you come to the game, get your hands on this beer, you won't be sorry. I promise you, it is much better than the Bud or Bud Light that they usually do serve at Percival Molson Stadium. This is some top-notch quality beer.
And did I mention it last episode? No, I didn't mention it. I don't think I did. There's talk of a Putin in a helmet.
That's crazy.
Putin in a. I don't know what this helmet looks like. That was listed in the Gazette story last week. I'm all for it. I want to see what this helmet looks like and how much it costs. Because if you're as old as I am, you remember the days of when you went to Dairy Queen and you can get an Expos or a Blue Jays or any of the Major League Baseball teams, ice cream in a batting helmet. Actually, I think
Yep,
they still have that today. But I mean, just since we don't have baseball here, same
they
thing.
might. Well, actually, and also too at Olympic Stadium back in the day when the Expos would play, you could also buy ice cream and a helmet there too.
Exactly. So,
So
hey, puts in a helmet? Sure, why not? I think they actually do that in Major League Baseball where it's in a batting helmet. I've seen it. It's the most hilarious thing in the world. But it's not puts in. It's like nachos or whatever it is.
nachos, that's it. Yeah,
But still.
which is cool all on its own. But I mean, like, what could be more Montreal than having put in Montreal Alouettes helmet?
Exactly.
And at this point, I would like to officially petition Mario Cicchini, the president of the Alouettes, who I hope is listening. And if he needs someone to taste test these puts-ins in helmets, him and I, we are ready to serve. We are here and ready to help the public in this matter.
I smell a social
media.
media.
Find us.
I smell a social media tweet coming.
I'm just saying.
From one of us. Come on. Mario, we're.
Hashtag flight deck puts in.
Sure. I was going to say hashtag flight deck alcohol.
Well, that even better. Anyway.
There were a couple other things that I wanted to mention. There was actually my brother who lives in the Ottawa area was in a local Costco, and they had, as I mentioned on social media, they had a package available being sold at Costco for the Red Blacks. Not only for the Red Blacks, we also for their Frontier League team, which is a league that is associated. It's not an independent league, but it's associated with Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, and they had packages on sale there for them also. My thought was, I understand that the team has done some great ideas when it's come to, selling season tickets at $150 in certain sections at Percival Molson. Why can't this type of thing be? I mean, for the Red Blacks to be able to get into a local Costco to sell these packages, why can't it to save, even if it's saving $10 or $15 for a pair of tickets? Why, I don't see why the Alouettes are unable to do this in the Montreal and Quebec area.
Absolutely, there's plenty of Costco's throughout Montreal, so I mean, this would be a great opportunity as well. And I think it'd be kind of cool to do a mini ticket package, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I even said, like, why don't you even get players out to your local Costco to help promote this? I think a lot of people would really get on board, like, especially if you're selling like a sort of a mini ticket package, like, choose 2 games that you want to go to for like $50 or whatever it is. I mean, listen, it's going to get butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you explore something like that? Like when you told me about this thing that they're doing out in Ottawa, I'm like, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
really, it is. Like, and I'm sure a lot of people in Ottawa are going to take advantage of it, if only to, maybe just by curiosity's sake. If you don't want to pay full pop for a ticket, I get that. But if you want to consider this kind of like a mini season ticket package, if you will, or like a, kind of a trial thing, let's see if you, see what you think of the Red Blacks. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, because I think
why wouldn't you?
I think the Red Blacks still have their flex packages like the Alouettes do. So I think it's something that the Alouettes could try. I think it's a pair of tickets for however much it is.
Well, and also too, the thing with the flex pack with the Alouettes, 10 tickets. I don't know if they still do the 6 ticket package, but I mean, 10 tickets. I mean, in theory, that's 5 games if it's you and someone, like, if it's 2 people going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, like, if you do like a sort of like a very small package, like 1 or 2 games kind of thing, or like a 2-game package, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's a market for that. I think that's something that would, interest a lot of people, especially people at Costco. I mean, Lord knows you're throwing stuff in your car anyways. Like, why wouldn't you throw in a, pair of tickets to the Alouettes game?
Why
at
not?
the same time?
Exactly. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe is Costco are they an advertiser with the Red Blacks or with OSEG? I don't know. I think OSEG is somehow involved. No, OSEG is not involved with the Ottawa Titans baseball team. So
I also wonder too, maybe because Costco's head office is in Ottawa, so I wonder if that may have had something to do with it.
Well, I'm curious to know about other teams, because we knew about Ottawa, but do the other teams in the CFL have, or some of the teams have something similar? I don't know.
It'd be worth looking into, but again, it's still, regardless of the team, would be something at least worth looking into, if nothing else.
Exactly. Also, something that has blown up on social media is, for those of you who do not know or may not watch the TSN broadcasts, is that 7-Eleven is the national sponsor for Thursday Night Football on TSN.
Mm-hmm.
And we found out this week that there's going to be a cup for Slurpees, similar to a Slush Puppy or to a Slush. Is it Slush over to? Is that the name of it over at Couche-Tard? Okay. Where
it's basically flavored sugar water.
Yeah. I love Slurpees, dude. Oh, anyways.
They are. They're awesome. No word of a lie. There is nothing better than a 7-Eleven Slurpee.
Yes. But, now with it, there's going to be a cup available for each team across the CFL.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with that is that there are currently two CFL markets, Cliff, that do not have 7-Elevens. One being...
And which two markets would those be?
Those would be Ottawa, which did have 7-Elevens until a couple of years ago, but they've now been taken over, I think, by Circle K, which, by the way, is owned by Couche-Tard here in Quebec.
That's right.
And then, Montreal. We don't have
Correct.
it either because we have Couche-Tard. So it leaves two cities out. So if you are a team of Ottawa, a fan of Ottawa or of Montreal, you either have to go for a road trip and hope that they made these for these teams. See, that's one thing we haven't seen these out in the wild yet. We
have not for those two teams, anyways.
But we've seen for Hamilton, we've seen for Toronto, and obviously by the advertising that 7-Eleven Canada is doing on their website, you have the other Western teams. We haven't seen BC yet either, actually.
I haven't seen. No, I've seen Edmonton. I haven't seen Winnipeg though.
No,
which is funny because Winnipeg is the
home. It's the Canadian. Yeah, that's where the Canadian home is for 7-Eleven.
Yes.
So this is something that I would thought. It's sort of similar. I mean, Tim's was perfect when you had the gift cards because you knew sooner or later they would be in your local Tim's. But everything's gone the way of the digital. So Cliff and I are asking if you happen to come across one or four of the Alouettes Slurpee cups, please get a hold of us on social media. Can you tell we want one? But I think in my opinion, I understand it. Can't really equate this to what the CFL the CFL contest that is being offered for the Grey Cup, leaving out Quebec because of the different rules when it comes to contests. This is something where we don't have it. It's same thing in the Maritimes. If you're a fan of any of the teams in the Maritimes, I think you joked it's going to turn into something on it's going to become the eBay black market for these things.
It really will. Like someone in rural Alberta or Saskatchewan is going to find all of these cups and make a killing. I can just tell. I just feel like it's just going to happen. And people are like, this is incredible. Like the fact that like CFL fans on social media have really gone crazy over this. Like I've seen like full on fights even. Like people are just like, "What are you getting so excited? It's just a stupid plastic cup." Like, okay, but it's still the fact that the CFL, people I think still want to sponsor those who sponsor the CFL. They want to support.
Yeah,
and I think that's really what it is more than anything else. It's not just about a drink cup. I mean, yes, in theory you can get one of those anywhere, but I think the fact that you've got a national sponsor that's sponsoring this league, trying to help promote this league, which fans want to do. The fans want to encourage businesses that encourage the CFL. And I think that's really what it came down to, is that we want to be able to do this, but if you're only going to sell these cups in local markets that have a 7-Eleven and everybody else is SOL, I mean, that kind of sucks. And the fact that the 7-Eleven wasn't willing to, say, put the cups on their website and sell them, which, again, they would make a killing off of, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people order.
It's so short-sighted. Even if you were in a different market for the Tim's cards, you could still call their 1-800 number and get one sent to you.
And even when the NHL had their Tim cards as well, like if you didn't live in a market that had a Tim card, like for example, like the American teams, if you wanted, say, like a Los Angeles Kings or a Colorado Avalanche card, you could at least gone to Tim Hortons website and ordered it there.
Yep.
Like you didn't have to live in the locale, so to speak. And even then, it was only the Canadian teams that ever seemed to have the local teams' cards. So, like, if you're going to a Tim Hortons in Edmonton, yeah, you get Oilers cards, but that's it. If you live in Montreal, you get Canadiens cards, but that's it. Trying to find any other teams, you're out of luck.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's eBay. It's eBay for you,
pretty much. Or again, go to Tim Hortons' website, and that back then you could have ordered any team you wanted. So for 7-Eleven to not offer something similar, to me, just feels like a lost opportunity.
I agree.
Especially too, if you want fans to get excited about these promotions and flock to the local 7-Eleven, sure. If you've got one in your area, of course you're going to go do that. But if you don't, like for example, here in Montreal, we don't have a 7-Eleven, unfortunately. The closest one I think to us is in Toronto.
No,
I mean,
which is closer? Which is closer? You have Oshawa, you have Guelph, not London.
Oshawa.
Brampton, no. Burlington, no. I think Oshawa might be.
Oshawa would be the closest technically to us.
Or Guelph. Or is that closer to
Guelph is
Hamilton?
past.
Okay.
That's closer to Hamilton.
Okay. So, yeah, Pickering's closer Pickering's closer to Toronto.
In any event, you're looking, like if you're an Alouettes fan hoping to go get one of these cups at a 7-Eleven, you're looking at a 5-6 hour car drive.
Yeah.
For a plastic cup.
And a Slurpee.
No. Well, yeah, of course. Jeez, if you go all the way, you'll get a Slurpee. What the hell's wrong with you? Oh, my.
Yeah.
As I said, Slurpees are just fantastic. But
yes, sir.
My gosh.
But yes.
It's just unfortunate that the 7-Eleven Canada just doesn't see the forest for the trees in this instance. I mean, and to me, like I said, this is found money when you think about it, because I said it before, but I'm certain that there are fans that will order one of each team's cups.
Yes, people said it already on social. I know somebody in the Maritimes who would like these. We know an Alouettes season ticket holder who lives in New Hampshire who wants these.
Exactly, and again, if you're a Red Blacks fan living in Calgary, like you don't necessarily want a Stampeders cup. You want a Red Blacks cup. Yeah. You should be able to get one. I mean, this tying it to the local market, like I get it to a degree, but at the same time, it seems kind of short-sighted too. I can understand not wanting to buy like 10,000 cups of each team in hopes that maybe someone will come along and want to buy all 9 or buy the certain cup that they want. So in which case, put it on the website.
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, listen, far be it for me to tell 7-Eleven how to run their business, and Lord knows they don't need my help in doing so. But I mean, to me, it just feels like a lost opportunity. And especially if you want to try and get fans engaged and excited about these Slurpee cups. I mean, listen, am I going to break my neck to get one of these cups? No. Would it be nice to get one? Sure, absolutely. But why make it difficult? Especially too, when it comes down to it, it's money in your pocket for 7-Eleven.
Yeah. And
I know they're not hurting for cash, but at the same time, if you're going to offer something like this in order to get fans excited, let the fans get them by any means necessary.
Yeah. By the way, it's the Edmonton one that we don't see on the 7-Eleven website. We see all the Western teams except for Edmonton.
Interesting.
So again, contact Clifford and I if you happen to see them on social media. Yes, we want.
We want, but we don't want to pay $50 for a damn cup. I'll tell you that. Right.
No. Lastly,
if you're going to try and gouge us, you can go F yourself.
Lastly, locally, the Alouettes have announced their first fan bus, Cliff, for the first time since November of 2019. It'll be held July 21st. That is a Thursday when the fan bus travels to Ottawa. Thursday is tough, but still decent. They actually, for the first time that I can remember, they had 2 packages, one that includes transportation and the other one that does not. Includes a ticket, access to the sidelines, and 1 concession coupon. So limited seating. Head over to MontrealAlouettes.com for more information. But I'm glad they brought it back.
No, it's cool. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see the fan plane back anytime soon, or even the fan train. I mean, maybe one day we'll get back to that point again, and if so, I definitely would recommend either one to football fans in this city. Mm-hmm. I am a little weary of this Thursday night. I mean, it seems kind of odd.
Well, we know that our natural rival really it is Ottawa right now, but it is true. I'm looking. We play them 4 times in the regular season this year, and I'm trying to check all the other times that we play Ottawa. And the last time would be week 19 in Ottawa, and that's a Friday.
The last time they had a fan trip, you mean?
No. Meaning that if it wasn't this Thursday, on that Thursday for the fan bus, it would be in week 19 this year on Friday, October 14th.
Well, that would make a lot more sense because it's not a school night.
So either way, we are glad they brought it back, and at least props to the to the marketing guys who are allowing there to be two options of taking the bus or not, at least you would have a chance to sit with your fellow Alouette fans, even if you went by car yourself.
No, I'm definitely glad they offered that. Like, at least give you the option of whether you want to hop on the bus, or even if for whatever reason you decide you want to go on your own to Ottawa, but you still want to be with your fellow members of Alouettes Nation. I definitely think it's great to have that opportunity for fans to be able to decide which route they want to go. And I definitely encourage it. I mean, you and I have been to TD Place a number of times, and it's definitely cool. It's definitely a great place to watch a football game. Like I said, I just think it's kind of odd to do it on the Thursday night game as opposed to the Friday night game that they could be playing. But okay, you know what? At the end of the day, people are going to go. They're going to enjoy themselves. They're going to have a good time, and they'll sort themselves out as far as the next day goes. So.
Exactly. Well, Cliff, Owls for once this season do not play on a Thursday night for the first time in 4 weeks.
What?
Yes. It's hard to believe, my friend.
Gosh. Well, I was kind of worried when I didn't get the depth chart. So I'm like, something's off here. I don't get it. And then I had to remind me that. Oh right, the Alouettes are playing on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this will be. Yeah, I know. This will be the first back-to-back of 4 this year for the Alouettes. The most since 2013.
Holy cow.
Where they had a mind-blowing number of back-to-backs of 5 back-to-backs that year.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, so we already know what to expect when it comes to with Saskatchewan. We saw what they did last week, and obviously it's not going to be the same team. There's been changes abound in Saskatchewan as far as injuries go. Now that they've got a chance to see what the Alouettes can bring to the table, you have to believe, especially in front of their people now, in front of Rider Nation, they're not going to want to get embarrassed, especially on Canada Day weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually 4 years ago, Tim, that I took the fan plane out to Regina, and that was also Canada Day weekend.
Yes.
And we remember what happened there.
Oh,
Alouettes snapping that long losing streak, finally pulling out a W. So, I don't know. I mean, even number year, Alouettes playing Canada Day weekend in Saskatchewan. I'm not saying Lightning's going to strike twice in the same place, but I just hope for their sakes that Saskatchewan kind of learns from their mistakes and they're actually ready to show up for this game.
Alouettes are already talking smack on social media in a way without actually saying any words, because I think the Riders announced 2 other players that were that seem to be may not be playing this weekend. But it's all good. I'm loving this. But I mean, it's the Owls going to this first game without Sean Jameson. Seem to be okay at center. Mario Alfred is back, as I mentioned earlier in the show. The question is, what is going to happen when it comes to the return game? It's very possible that Pickett will not be playing because he got dinged up near the end of the game this past week. Yeah. So what's going to happen to Adarius Pickett?
Ankle issue, so.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, dealing with an ankle issue. So
yes, exactly. So VA is back from his bout with COVID. I'm curious to see what these changes are. These changes are going to be. Will they go with Worthy because of what he did last week, or will they go with the potential 1-2 on the return game?
I think if you can make it work ratio wise, you'd be crazy not to go with having both Alfred and Worthy back there in the return kicks. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, both when they're on their game are absolutely electric. I mean, Alfred, we know what he can do. Worthy, we know now what he can do for sure. So, I mean, how do you, if there's a way that you can get both of these guys on the field and really give the special teams of Saskatchewan some serious fits, if there's a way of doing it, you got to do it. Simple as that. I mean, those are just 2 electric players that will make fans jump up and take notice.
Yep.
So if you can find a way to get both those guys in the lineup, some way, somehow, find a way to do it. Yep. That's all there is.
And we really didn't talk about it much, but if the Alouettes can get 8 more sacks this week, I think the Alouettes will be in a good position to win this game.
And that's the thing. They really rattled Cody Fajardo. I mean, No Chris Aki, no problem. Brian Harlamana came in and he was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Jones, oh my goodness, this guy just all over the field and just absolutely Najee Murray, who we've come to expect. Darius Williams, friend of the show, another interception. I mean, and that too would have been a pick six had the Riders not grabbed a hold of his shirt and just kind of held him back. I mean, like this, this secondary, they've taken their lumps this year early on, but man, they are looking so good. I mean, just when you talk about guys like Marc-Antoine Decoy, Mike Jones, Darius Pickett, I mean, these are some serious ballers and just making noise happen. And it is so good. I mean, like just to know that this defense is humming the way it is, and even when key players go down, it really does feel like there's someone else ready to step up and make plays happen. And it's such a good feeling to see that. And man, I think that's really what you got to do. Like you just got to put so much pressure on Cody Fajardo.
Yeah.
He's not going to have Shaq Evans. He suffered a really bad ankle injury.
Ankle also, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, like Saskatchewan's still kind of hurting right now. I mean, I think that a lot of people thought that the loss of Dan Clark at the center was a big reason why Fajardo was having such a hard time in Montreal. And now he's got one more week with his O-line. I mean, apparently they're supposed to be getting some help. Brett Jones, who used to play in the NFL, apparently is making his way to Saskatchewan. He won't be there for the game on Saturday. If that's a done deal or not. But, I mean, this is something that Montreal has to take advantage of, the fact that things still are not 100% with that line. And that's where it starts, is the offensive line. And if they can't give Fajardo any sort of protection, and Montreal just keeps coming at him and coming at him and coming at him, I mean, he's going to falter. And that's just what happened. That's what happened in Montreal. And history has a way of repeating itself. If that same thing happens, if they bring that same kind of pressure to Fajardo, I can definitely see more pick sixes happening, or just be shut down entirely. And at that point, it may just come down to, once again, kicking field goals. And somehow the Alouettes have to make the most of the opportunities in the red zone.
Yeah,
as much as possible. I mean, especially too, if Trevor Harris really wants to stay as the starter of this football team, now that the VA is back, I mean, at what point, like, how much of a leash does Trevor Harris have? I want to say a pretty long one because of everything that's been going on, but at the same time, if he's not producing, if he's not throwing for like 2, 3, 4 touchdowns and no picks, and he's got to move the ball big time, and he's got to make plays happen. He doesn't do that, people are going to start wanting Vernon back in the lineup again, because we know he can make plays. Yes, it's risky at times with him. Yes, he's made mistakes. But this slow and steady wins the race thing isn't always going to work when it comes to Trevor Harris.
No.
I was actually thinking about it, Tim. You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Trevor Harris? Tim Tebow. As far as a lot of hype, a lot of people thinking he's like the next, the savior, the next big thing for the Alouettes. But in reality, like, lots of short passes. Once in a while, can complete an outstanding play, but by and large, he does like just enough.
Yeah, but
and just enough isn't enough to win, though.
No, I know, but remember, Tebow's claim to fame was that overtime playoff win versus Pittsburgh. Harris really does have more of a pedigree, though. I mean, he's been in the league for 10 years. It's not like he's a Tebow. He's shown that he can play, but it has to be consistent. It needs to be Trevor Harris versus Montreal in the playoffs in 2019, where he ran off, 23, 24 passes in a row, whatever it was. That's the Trevor Harris we need. And hey,
right, and that's the Trevor Harris that should be showing up.
Great sign. No, he had any great signs this week, but we need the team itself needs to improve when it comes to the red zone. We need to improve the running game. Yes, I understand Joshua Antwi has done a great job. But we need, if we're in a closer game this week, we need to be able to be consistent with the ball, control the clock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, Chris Aki, Sean Jameson, and Brock Gowanlock did not practice today, nor did Antonio Simmons. So that's just an update as of today for their practice.
No, and replacing those guys, not that easy. I can tell you that right now. But Montreal, to their credit, when it comes time when someone has to step up, they did. At least last week versus Saskatchewan. And the guys that did step up and make plays happen, I fully expect them to be able to do the same thing again. I fully expect them to make outstanding plays happen. And as I said, this defense has proven themselves and will still need to prove themselves, because if the Alouettes are not scoring touchdowns, and again, field goals is great, but you need to score whole ass touchdowns and not just pick sixes, because those are never a guarantee.
So is that rather than half-ass touchdowns?
Well, Christ, at this point, I think I'd be happy with a couple of half-ass touchdowns. I mean, Jesus, Murphy.
I get it. I get it. But hey, by the way, a plus though, at Darius Pickett, according today, he was limited. He didn't practice on Tuesday at all. He was limited today in practice. So we'll see what happens with the practice on Thursday.
Well, and he's a guy that has been just outstanding ever since they moved him to, I know he was listed defensive back, but he tends to line up more in the linebacking core. And he has played with such intensity this year. Like last year, there was a couple of times where I just felt like he looked lost in the secondary.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy they moved him up into the linebacking position, and he's looked outstanding, just absolutely outstanding. The fact that he can drop back in coverage if needed is just a nice bonus. But the way he's been able to bull rush and just make life miserable for the opposing quarterback has been nothing short of outstanding. So if he's dinged up, I just hope if he can find a way to play and not cause further harm to himself, great. But I mean, this is a guy that I've been very pleasantly surprised with how well he has progressed and even evolved into the role that he's in now. I mean, to the point where it's just like, wow, like this is a guy that, where do we find this guy? Doesn't matter. Like the Alouettes just seem to find these guys out of nowhere, and they just produce, and it's so good to see. And to know that there's this depth that we just don't even realize is there is simply outstanding. And it's good to see what this defense can do. We know what Baron Miles is as a coach. He's just truly outstanding when it comes to getting the most out of his players.
Exactly.
And I think he's done that and then some. And it's got to continue, though. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
this team could easily be 3-0.
Oh, we know.
Yep. 1-2. You know what? It's a very good 1-2.
Hey, we're only a half a game out of first place, dude.
That's one way to look at it.
We're a half a game out of first place. By the way, speaking of the game itself, currently on 5 Dimes, Saskatchewan is favored by 4.5 points with an over-under of 46. They're giving the home discount. We weren't giving it last week, but we'll see what happens this week. Yeah. Stay tuned to our social medias for the depth chart when it does come out. Also, again, you want to contact us, whether it be about the Slurpee Cups, about anything else, you can contact me on social, obviously, at Repacked, or you can contact me at tim.capper@alouettesflightdeck.ca, or Cliff at CliffyD on Twitter, or at clifford.pine@alouettesflightdeck.ca, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you with whatever you want to talk to us about. Cliff?
Yeah, definitely hit us up on the socials. Definitely engage with us. As I said, head over to the YouTube page, subscribe there.
Get us there, baby.
This is what we want. This is what we've come here for. We're so excited to be able to talk about Alouettes football, and this time we're able to talk about winning Alouettes football.
Yes, sir.
We want to keep that party going.
Let's keep it going. Exactly. Let's keep it going. Hey, Cliff, you and the loved one, I hope you have a great time for the rest of your trip. Be safe, my friend. I will talk to you, obviously, via text and whatnot, but be safe. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. And you, the fans, enjoy the game on Saturday. Enjoy and have a very safe Canada Day. We will talk to you guys on the flip side. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on final approach.